Mm-hmm.
All right, so right now we've gotten back in and we've gotten to the battle where you're running out of air.
We're finished with that. So this is you. I mean, you walk through a door. You see a lab on the other side of a glass window. You see infectors. Turning corpses, and then a bunch of necromorphs burst in, and you have to deal with that.
What we're trying to do is
That's a really good room with the holographic display.
We're trying to reunite with Ellie and Strauss.
We're real close to catching up with them. They'll be like just ahead of us through a lot of this part of the game.
So I think the most memorable part of this chapter, at least for the first half, is going through fuel processing.
Yes.
The 0G area where you're going through fuel processing.
That part's really great. Basically, these giant panels like that are blocking your path, and you have to take the explosive containers and stick them onto the thing, and then you fire at them, and then it opens the doors. And then once you're in there, Tideman sends a message. You're like kind of floating through this thing, and he's like, I see you in here, and I'm going to turn on all these traps so you can't get through.
Right.
Well, he just starts to back up.
Turn on the machinery, yes.
Yeah. The first one's like a bunch of drills, right? And they're all, 90 degrees and crisscrossing.
Right. So you go through the fuel processing area. I really like the fire,
the main
hoops,
column,
the flaming hoops it makes you go through to get to the end of the section.
Oh yes,
and how you hear Ellie and Strauss being attacked.
Oh yeah,
as it's happening, it's another one of those cool like radio play moments where you get to hear them being attacked, and
she's like, "Hurry the fuck up!"
Then once you clear fuel processing, which means clearing one of those giant cancer launcher things, with the big with the tumor hands or whatever,
that drop ruby semiconductors.
You get to the other side of the room that they're on, and the glass is all smashed, and there are a ton of necromorph bodies all over the place. One of the chargers is dragging itself along the ground toward you, which is cool. I just like that it does such a great job of implying that a battle happened here.
And then the next room, you open the door, and Ellie's inside pointing her gun at you, and Strauss is like sitting there, and you're like, wow, you guys just survived this battle. That's awesome.
Yeah. You are in the factory area of the CEC, and that's to prepare the tram to take you to
government sector.
So you leave and you go through the hangar area, the cargo area with the stalkers, and
kind of slowly make your way up through a series of lifts. There's a lot of good combat scenarios there with pregos.
So you get through the hangar area. You see another one of the wall tumor things that spit out the little mini sausage tumors that have the baby tentacle. Also, there is a rad mechanical gear puzzle in this area that you have to fix to get the tram working. It's just another puzzle that's not particularly complicated, but I like it because it feels like you're fixing something.
And it changes itself up over the course of it. You have to stasis the one guard that's, that's covering up where one of the gears are that you're looking for.
So you fix those gears, you get on the transport, it's moving, then it's blocked. Like it stops because there's a blockage. So you get off. This is where you go through the hangar with the stalkers and the tumors and the exploders.
Yep.
And there's another name for them, and I don't know what it is because I don't prepare. And this,
we all know what you're talking about.
After you clear that area, you see the problem, which is that there is a giant necromorph growth that's blocking the track.
Yes.
And that has fuel pods attached to it, and you need to blow those fuel pods up to move the growth. Like the tentacles pull away when you do that. So you call Ellie in, and Ellie and Strauss, and you take an elevator down, and this is where you think that you're going to have a simple time of just launching these gas tubes at another one of the fuel tanks to blow it up. And after you launch the first one, a leaper comes down.
Those aren't leapers. That's why you threw me off.
Oh, well, it's or tripod
monster.
Nest. I'm sorry. So a tripod comes down. The first time I did this, the first time I played through Dead Space 2, I definitely got killed on this a couple times.
Oh, I died for sure.
The second time, after I had upgraded stasis, I basically just hit him with stasis, lackadaisically pulled canisters toward me, fired them off, stasis, fired canister, stasis, fired canister. Blow up pod, grab ruby semiconductor.
Because two more come down at that point.
Right. And then stasis, for good measure, run away. As this is exploding, you take the elevator up, get on the tram. You're blown out of the tram corridor by the explosion as you're all desperately hoping that the tram is going fast enough to get you out of there.
Faster, Ellie! Faster!
And this is when you're on the tram heading to EarthGov.
This is right.
Or to government sector.
Yes.
And this is also where Tideman says that in any other situation he would find your resilience impressive or whatever. And that's when he aims the solar beam at the track.
Which is what the bad guy always says.
Right. He's
he aims the solar beam, blows up the track.
Yeah, he aims a solar beam that you turned on to enable the station's power to the track and destroys it.
Back that shit up.
So this is where Isaac realizes that he has to go into the Ishimura to turn on the gravity tethers.
I really love the way. I mean, he's the fucking crazy one. The way he says this here, he's like, the Ishimura. If the gravity tethers are still active, and Ellie says like, you're saying you can bring the track back together.
Isaac,
and you can
this is a really bad idea.
I'm full of bad ideas.
It's a really bad idea.
I'll stick around. I'm full of bad ideas.
I really love the way that it's done, because like you go back there thinking, oh, I know what the Ishimura is, but it's like, well, you don't know what it looks like when it's been like tagged and bagged.
Right.
know?
It's just so you get on the Ishimura and it's clear that Isaac is really shaken up. And it's just covered in evidence of reconstruction, like that they're rebuilding it, that they're cleaning it up.
There are no enemies for quite a long
time, yeah.
And then you keep running across audio logs from that poor the poor engineer guy who
I don't even think he was an engineer. I think he was just like a janitor.
Was he a janitor?
Yeah, just keeps blood.
Yeah, he's like just cleaning shit up, and he keeps getting more and more freaked out as like strange shit keeps happening.
But yeah, just walking through and seeing all these areas that you went through, like you're basically boarding the Ishimura and making your way through it in the same order that you boarded the Ishimura and made your way through it.
Everything looks so different because they're in the process of cleaning everything up. So there's all the I don't know what you'd call it, like the biohazard stuff all over the walls and everything.
Once the battles do start,
they're so intense.
It's explained. It's like, okay, this is as far as we got with our, cleaning up the Ishimura, and it ends right here.
The first point you get attacked, I think, is that when you're running through the lower section of the tram area.
I think it is, because there's
where a brute drops down.
There's two brutes in that area,
and then a ton of guys appear behind you.
Yeah, yeah, they killed me when that happened, because I was like, clearly I'm just gonna fight this brute, and that's gonna be it. Nope.
That's a rough battle.
So when you finally do encounter enemies, it's just such a huge moment, because it's just done so well in building the tension that you know that something has to happen. Like, this is the quintessential moment of this game, playing with your expectations.
Yeah.
Where it puts you through the quarantine where you were attacked the first time, and it makes you sit through the whole thing,
sequence,
and then you go through, and there's nothing, and then right after that quarantine room, there's that hallway that goes both ways, the left and right, that is just full of fucking enemies. After you go through into that area and you reactivate, I think, engineering.
Yeah, this is engineering. Yeah.
Well, and they did totally fuck with me at one point where you walk into that hallway, and in Dead Space 1, he gets grabbed by the giant tentacle thing that's like trying to pull him into the hole, and he has and Isaac has a flashback.
Right.
You reactivate engineering, you have to go through quarantine again, and of course, you have to go through quarantine again, and you see enemies appear on the outsides, but this time, instead of the very sort of predictable, enemies dropping in through vents, the pack just starts breaking through the windows.
Yeah, I mean, I think they do a good job with this part without making it too terribly gamey all the time. Because you're right, they play with their expectations, because had they not played with their expectations, it would have been like, oh, we're doing this again.
I mean,
they took a part that could have been the worst part of the game, and they made it Arthur's favorite part of the game. And there's that great moment when you're heading to the bridge or whatever, and they're like, all right, well, at least we don't have to go to medical. And sure enough, like 4 seconds later, you end up going to medical.
You get on the train to go to another section. I can't remember which. And he's like, at least we don't have to go. They're all. It looks like they're all swarming in through medical.
Yeah.
Is what
at least we don't have to go to medical. Sorry, stopping at medical. Yeah. You're just like, fuck you, game.
And this is the return. This is the return of the Ishimura female computer voice, which is kind of cool.
Forming into a hole in the medical deck. At least you won't have to go through there.
Unexpected obstruction ahead. Shutting down. Welcome to the medical deck.
Crap.
The other really memorable section of the Ishimura is the atrium area, the observation deck on the bridge.
Oh yeah.
Which is,
and it's like, and I remember walking onto that bridge and thinking like, man, there were some crazy ass battles here.
That was where one of the first boss fights, right?
Yeah.
The first boss fight.
Yeah, and then here you are, like, back again, and they just keep throwing enemies at you. They
Right, and
keep
this is
doing it.
This is probably the most wide open space. I remember them throwing stalkers at you, and now it mixes. It just escalates the enemies that it mixes stalkers with. Like here, it's mixing stalkers with the exploders and with the spitters, or not spitters, but pukers, and black pukers, no less. Fuck those things. You get to the gravity tether, and you hold down the button. You fire it off. It pulls the track back toward you, and the part where Strauss actually loses it is when they're freaking out to get away and you jump in the escape pod to meet them, and while you're in the escape pod unable to do anything is when he attacks her.
Right.
So there's that sense that you're totally helpless, actually.
Yeah, you're forced to watch it.
So while this is happening, you're also hearing Strauss and Ellie arguing, and then Strauss loses it and says that he needs to show Ellie the steps, which involves a screwdriver. Yeah. So then you crash land.
As you always
cool
do.
Sequence.
Yeah. Isaac always crash lands.
And then you get a video feed instead of the usual audio feed, and you hear her screaming your name, and you see Strauss on top of her with the screwdriver,
trying to stab her eye.
And so now, in addition to the fact that there are a ton of necromorphs on the Ishimura, and you're trying to get off and get this done, Strauss has finally lost it.
Right.
But now we're in the mines. I'm trying to remember when you run into Ellie. But you run into Ellie.
Well, you run into Strauss first, and he has her eyeball on a screwdriver. You kill Strauss.
Yeah, you finish.
No. You see her before you meet Strauss. She's on the other side of a grate, and she says, "You owe me an eye, you bastard."
Okay, yeah, that's true.
You owe me an eye, you bastard.
And then you open the door,
right.
and Strauss attacks you.
I mean, that's actually a little further down.
Yeah,
like
it is.
you actually have to hack a door open.
Right.
And it opens on.
It
actually opens on the second hack section, which never happens, and he comes at you with the screwdriver.
Yep.
And I actually had Strauss kill me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And man, does he screwdriver the fuck out of your face. Like, not just once, but it drives in, and then he just stabs you in the face over and over again.
Wow,
That's pretty hardcore.
Oh, Nolan.
Again, this is just another sort of fucked up part full of battles. Like, some of it is memorable, but most of it is just rough. And there are a lot of multi-tiered areas in this.
That's what I really like about it, is like being on a lower part and seeing a box up top that you know is like an item. So, I'm going to be getting up there eventually, and then looking at the space from that angle, and it has like a good, three-dimensional sort of feel where you can really feel the layout of the space.
At this point, you're trying to make it back to Ellie, and you get grabbed by a monster and pulled out into space. And this is where you have to maneuver lasers out of the way of a
I was actually making
entrance into the facility.
Yeah, I was actually making this puzzle a lot more complicated.
Me too. I thought you had to aim the lasers at like a thing or something.
Yeah, I was trying to aim them at something, but I didn't know what to aim them at. And then I was looking, I was like, do I really just need to go in that door? Is that all I need to do?
So you get back into the mines. There's a ton of necromorphs. You get back. I mean, really, this is just, you get hit by so many black slashers in this area. You're confronted again by Nicole in Chapter 11, and that's where you say, I can't give you up because then I'll have nothing left. I think that's what you guys are thinking.
That's the one I'm thinking of.
But if I let you go, I've got nothing left.
And I think that's where he starts to realize that Nicole is partly his conscience, and his guilt.
Are we to the next chapter yet?
Yeah, we're.
So you've met up
repairing a mining drill.
Exactly. You meet up with Ellie, and you're basically that entire chapter is just repairing the drill and riding the drill.
Right. You put the second battery in, and she's all, well, I'll see what I can do from up here, and she's like, or I can just fix it from down here.
And you start doing it, and of course, right when you put it in, she says, I fixed it, I did it. And he's like,
yeah, sure.
And then she gets mad at you for putting the second battery in because it resets the controls as she's fucking with something.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, this is where you have to back up as she's turning the fucking thing around, and you start getting attacked by a bunch of people in the pack. So you get on the drill and you're sitting there defending yourself as it's going through, etc., etc.
Pretty. This is one of the few times in the game where I was like, "Come on, just fucking all right, I get it. Let's
really
end
drags.
that part."
Yeah.
I mean, it's not long. That part is really not long. It's over really fast. But I mean, you feel
It's
like
just a long time to spend
It feels
fighting.
like
I
5
thought
minutes.
it felt really long.
it's
to me,
really
too.
not that long. But I
think
30
we should time
seconds.
it.
30 seconds into it, I was like, I get it.
Well,
I
because
played
you've
Gears of
seen
War.
everything it has to show you.
Yeah.
Like, there's
Yeah.
nothing. It's like such a one-trick thing. It's like, okay, so there are the babies on either side that are shooting shit at me. There's the former security officers that are coming up over the sides that are kind of easy to kill but will fuck me up. If I go too far forward, I'll get destroyed. Thanks. Now, can we be done with this section now?
And not only that, then it ends with the strangest part in the entire game.
Which is where you guys stop and you say, well, we should be in government sector now. And, well, how do we get in? Well, we are on top of a giant drill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do have a giant drill.
So you drill through the walls, the retaining walls of government sector.
And then it cuts.
Yeah, so it turns to black. As you say, wait, I'm on top of this, wait, blah, blah, blah. It cuts to black. And this is where it shows Isaac getting launched. And, like, standing up, right? That's what
It shows
happens?
the drill. You're all of a sudden
You're not
inside
in-
government sector. You're a camera inside government sector. You see the wall burst open and the drill bit starts spinning in. And then Isaac
comes
gets
tumbling
launched
out.
and tumbles into the frame. And there he is. But, man, for that second when it cuts... And, they take so much time to
It's
never
like a
take you
conventional
away from...
cutscene.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like
Which the game
exactly.
never does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you never cut away from Isaac.
It's really jarring.
You're right.
It
It's
sort
a
of breaks up.
conventional cutscene, which is really,
It's,
really weird.
I mean, it's not. We're exaggerating. It's not a conventional cutscene because
I mean,
it's
in the sense
like for
that,
15
like,
seconds that the camera's not on you.
I know. It's just it feels really strange.
Ellie says that has found a gunship that works, and she's getting it ready to go and fueling it up and waiting for you. And you go around along the top, I guess. And you get to the docking area where she's in the ship, and you see her in the ship, and the game takes control away from you, which is kind of weird, I thought. That it didn't just tell you that you could hit A to make this happen, but the game takes away control from you, and you send Ellie off into space.
Right, and this is when the Nicole
And this is when the Cole thing happens. yes.
And I love Ellie's
and
reaction,
he's convinced
too.
he's going on a suicide mission, too.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
totally, like, clocking out, basically.
And Ellie's reaction is great.
So do you guys think of it as Nicole? I just think of it as the marker. It's all in your mind. It's your memory of them that's being reanimated.
And
Right.
used for its purpose.
Exactly, and it's all it's doing is using whatever is the best like tool it has to manipulate you, which is the most, powerful memory that you have.
After you send Ellie off, you realize that you need to get into government sector proper, and this isn't it. Or you have to get into the research area. You open the door and you walk into the line of guards.
Yeah,
It's another
that's a good
cool
one.
moment.
Yeah, that is a really cool moment.
And I definitely died there a couple of times.
Yeah, I didn't die there because
I didn't either.
as soon as they shine the lights, I'm like, oh, I obviously don't want to stand here.
And the door is right there to the right.
Yeah.
So you rush to the right, you disable the power, the necromorphs get in, Tideman freaks out. All hell breaks loose. It's fun making your way through this area and seeing fresh devastation for a change.
Yeah.
Because it's been so long since you've seen that sort of Imideus Res situation of the necromorphs fucking up live humans that aren't you.
I like the part where you walk in and you're sort of heading into the central part of the research sector where the marker is, and there's all those walkways, all those
You see 'em
sky
flooding.
walkways.
And you just see them flooding through,
You
yeah.
see them flooding through, yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple really ruthless battles in like one of the research labs with because you start going, you're basically working your way into the marker creation chambers.
Right, there's one cool section with like a laser turnstile that you have to run from room to room, and you're getting attacked by freshly killed human torsos.
Yep. There's that. There's one that looks like more like a biology lab with microscopes and stuff around, and there's
And
like
it just throws tons of guys at
tons
you.
of guys in
I know,
there.
for such a small room, too.
And then you see the marker, which is fucking enormous. And he's like, I built that?
golden and glowing and making a crazy, awful sound.
And then you look
Making the
down
inception
and
noise.
It's convergence, baby.
you see that they've worked on their swarming tech for their character models, and there's hundreds, if not thousands, of necromorphs around the marker. And Tideman is saying this was never supposed to happen. We never predicted a convergence event like this. That whole section is just really cool, but the sense of urgency is ruined because you can just stand there forever
and watch it.
Right.
But that's fine because in the next chamber is where you go through the steps.
Yep.
The way that Nicole is talking to you is the way that a parent is talking to a child who's about to get a shot or an immunization. That you say, "Is this going to hurt?" And she says, "Yes."
This is gonna hurt, isn't it?
And just the way that she says yes is that there's care and concern in her voice, but she doesn't want to lie to you. So this is where you jam a needle in your eye.
Yeah, I didn't die. A lot of people did. I didn't think it was that hard.
It was easy.
It wasn't that hard at all.
So
Right,
this
it
is
just-
when the part of the game that I really didn't like started.
Yeah, I was gonna say. You said you started running. I don't start running yet. I start running now. So it's like that, start running now from Virtua Fighter or whatever it is.
So
They drop a resurrector into the room. You
for
get
the
to
first
see.
time.
I mean, I figured it out really quickly as soon as I blew it to pieces and
And
it
it
started
grew back.
regenerating.
But-
Yeah, there's no way you're not going to know because you have to hack the freaking door open to
Yeah.
get out of that room.
Right, it just...
Right.
And you
it's-
have to, I don't know, how did you do it with no stasis?
I mean, there's a stasis recharge right
I blew
there.
the shit out of him and stasis him and barely fucking did
Barely
it.
freaking.
This just seems like a missed opportunity to me, too, that you can use the javelin gun to staple him to a wall and keep him there a little longer. And I tried. I did. I fired a fucking harpoon into him on the floor and it did nothing.
There are fucking few ridiculous areas when you're like 3 floors worth of this one lab where almost endless guys are coming.
There
I
are
mean, it gets
something
really
like
brutal.
12 save points between Chapter 14 and Chapter 15.
I believe it.
Or Chapter 13 and Chapter 4, or whatever. Like the last 2 chapters of the game, there are a ton of save points.
Yeah.
The whole thing is just one
The whole
really bad
thing's not very
checkpoint.
fun.
I got pretty early on that I was gonna run through this bitch. Like as soon as I figured out the regenerator's here and it's like catching up with me every time I run through, I was like, all right, I'm running, and I did. I ran through all the next rooms. Like and even running is really hard. I died a bunch of times. By the time I got to the end, I had a ton of ammo, no health packs, and
wow.
your rig is red. It's red. My rig was so fucking red when I came up to Tideman. I had the smallest sliver of ammo.
So this part
man.
is just, it's awful.
It's really
like
bad.
it's not fun. It
No,
just
yeah.
stops being fun. Like the rest of the game, it forces you to kill everything, every encounter.
Yep, every time.
And in this, it will fucking annihilate you if you do.
Yeah.
And also, this is the part where you realize, man, waiting for doors to open in this game fucking sucks.
Yeah, I did
Especially on, I think the PS3 version loads more slowly than 360 if you have it installed. I fucking feel for you people. Because that game, I played the game off the disc on debug, I couldn't install it, and it is so much easier playing it when it's installed because the doors open in half the time. I hated all of this. I just didn't think it was fun.
Yeah, I ran through all of it. Didn't really have a great time. Did enjoy making it to Tideman with the smallest sliver of health, having him
Right.
get taken down, and then if they didn't give you a full rig of health for the
couldn't
actual
have done
marker battle, like I would not have been able to do it.
Yeah, you come up on Tideman. Man, Tideman is fucked up.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, dude.
That's probably the most disturbing.
It's
character
amazing
model you
that
see
he
in
can
the
even
game.
keep any sort of composure.
Yeah.
When
composure.
half of
I
his
mean,
face
to
is
be
missing.
fair, they have some pretty advanced medical technology, but yeah, like his nose cartilage is burned away completely. He's missing most of his skin on one
He
side
also
of his
shoots
body.
you with like 2 spears.
Yeah, he
Dude,
shoots you with a
it's
harpoon.
so
you pull
gnarly.
out.
And yeah, you just pull it out and keep going. That's like
I
think that's
like,
something happens that distracts him, and then you finish him.
and then you get up to him, you take the harpoon gun and you shoot him through the throat, and you take it away.
Well, you get to. Oh right. All I know is you get to choose the last shot.
And this is where Nicole tells you it's over and says that now it's time for you to die.
Yeah.
And you get sucked into your own head.
Thank you, Isaac. Now, time to die.
Which is a cool concept,
Yeah, no, I didn't.
You didn't have a good weapon for it?
I did. I guess I didn't because I just didn't have enough. Like,
Shots with
honestly,
the javelin gun.
I'll tell you what it was.
shooting her is easy.
Yeah.
Like taking her out was not hard. Taking out the pack was annoying, but not hard. It's there's no like sense of feedback for how you're doing as far as like shooting the marker or whatever.
My
when it's your
my
time to do
javelin
so.
gun was. I think it was just because my javelin gun was so strong. It seriously did only take like 2 or 3 hits from the javelin gun, and I was back outside my head.
Force gun
see,
for all
it
the
didn't-
parts with the pack and with Nicole.
Yeah.
For me, it was contact beam on the marker.
I mean,
2
on my
shots.
second playthrough, like my plasma cutter was pretty much maxed out, and I had 150 plasma cutter shots. So like I use the pulse rifle on her, the Ripper or whatever, and then as soon as it goes down, just plasma cutter shots over and over again, and that ends it quick. But I just don't think it's a very fun boss fight, whether it's easy or not. It's just not fun. Granted, if she touches you, the death you have with her is probably the coolest Isaac death in the game.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
Because of the way that your jaw dislocates when a harpoon goes through your head.
Oh shit!
Did you die on that?
I did
You haven't
once.
seen that death?
No.
Oh, that's the best death in the game.
It was really good.
I still think the best death is when the guy you lose to the man of many parts and he takes over your head.
Yeah, that one's pretty cool, but I honestly think that
What?
Oh,
right. Yeah.
the divider.
Yeah.
So, assuming that you don't harpoon yourself through the head, you beat yourself. And I liked when that's done and he just sort of walks over and kind of collapses next to the marker, which you can see is falling apart, and you can see that the marker has been deactivated.
They start the credits.
And they start the credits with like really somber music, and I'm like, you know what, this works. Like if this is the ending, that totally works.
That's what I thought.
I still kind of wish that had been the ending. Just that.
You know, I would say that, but then when Ellie chips in and says, well, I'm coming through anyway, and you don't have a choice in the matter, that totally... First of all, that stays in character, and second of all, she's throwing your shit back in your face.
I know it stays in character. It's just so cliched action movie thing to do.
See, like, I would have thought that it would have been cliched if Dead Space 3 came out, and that was the opening scene, was her busting in and saving you. I would have been like, oh man, that
but movies end like that all the time. It was like in Aliens, and it's the equivalent.
But it's about time that Isaac got one. It was not his fault that Nicole died.
I know,
and he let her go. So I mean, that's catharsis. So why not let him have something?
Yeah, but
I would have liked it. I would have been fine with it if he had died.
I just think in Dead Space 3, it doesn't need to be about Isaac anymore. There's all these other markers. Clearly, something else has happened to other people.
I mean, it's totally gonna be.
I know, but it's like, if we want to give one to Isaac, let's have him not be in another fucking game and have to go through all
I think he has to die at the end of Dead Space 3. So you rocket up and zoom to Ellie, assuming you don't get hit by a giant piece of marker.
That was a cool, like,
and yeah, I just think that's such a great triumph moment.
Yeah. I found it it was really thrilling, like when she came in and busted in and saves your ass, right on, Ellie, like that's exactly who she should be.
At least they didn't kiss.
Yeah, that too.
No,
all I was thinking was like, this is exactly like toward the end of Aliens, where they're like, no, and then Bishop comes and saves the day. That's like exactly what it was like.
Yeah.
I mean, it has a pretty classic moment at the very end of that sequence where just the look of relief on his face is something that you've literally never seen on Isaac. And then, of course, because his life sucks, he has a moment of panic and he looks over just because it's just such a mirror image of the first Dead Space game, and he turns over and Ellie shrugs and says, "What?"
Yeah.
What?
But yeah, Dead Space 2 is pretty fucking fantastic, despite the fact that the last 30 minutes of it were just fucking god awful.
Yeah, I wouldn't go. For me, it wasn't god awful. For me, I enjoyed the tension of being forced to run through it. I didn't like the regenerator enemy, but the tension of it was enjoyable.
I
like seeing the giant ass marker.
Yeah.
I don't think it's god awful, but I think it's easily the weakest part of the game, and the weakest part of the game starts as soon as you get on top of that drill. I think government sector looks really cool for the most part, but not as cool as any of the other areas in the game. So I was glad to see some of it, but
I really like
just
the change in the
disappointing.
art style and the lighting and everything.
Yeah, it's
because
cool.
you're in like the richest part of anything in that area.
Right.
I mean, the game is paced so well elsewhere. Like, it just, like, it doesn't let up in a good way. And then that part I didn't enjoy it. And the human stories that Dead Space tells are really cool.
I agree. I'm looking forward to this DLC. But for now, I am fucking so done talking about this game. Thank you for listening.